Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Linda Baas McClelland.
And this is...
It's Movie Time.
It is. Linda, you're an interior designer by trade. So the film that we have today called Phantom Thread,
yes,
starring Daniel Day-Lewis and written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Right.
Is there anything that you're designing helps you to appreciate Phantom Thread?
Oh, definitely. His habits, quirks, and how he gets himself ready to concentrate on his work. I don't go quite as far as he does, but he is a renowned London fashion designer. I always have to get the basics in.
Right. 1950s.
In the 1950s, and he creates gowns for wealthy, elite, and royal women. But to call Woodcock a self-centered, narcissistic egomaniac would be an understatement.
He is, after all, an artist.
Oh, but he's so quirky. His day is filled with meticulous rites and habits and superstitions.
And women.
Well, the women are his muses or
Well,
his models or
his wives. They're all his wives. Meaning, of course, his sister is there.
Yes.
As his assistant. But metaphorically.
Okay, but
they're all his wives. Okay, yeah.
All right.
They trudge in and out to
right.
do their little sewing at his
right.
bidding.
Yes, but I disagree with you. I don't think he has any wives.
No, I meant figuratively.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, they're all serving him in a traditional wifely role.
Right.
And so life is perfect for him, right?
As long as everything goes along with his schedule. Case in point, his breakfast has to be eaten in total silence without any confrontation. And that's the way he begins
Don't
his
put
day.
your butter on your bread or scrape it.
We'll get into that later. However, the next breakfast scene that we see, it seems like there are several breakfast scenes, takes place at a coastal hotel. And
see if you can pull that up closer to you.
And he's served by sort of a clumsy, young, but very attractive waitress named Alma.
Right.
And he seductively gives her his very lengthy, detailed breakfast order, which is almost biblical.
Yeah.
But, you think, okay, what's going to happen with this? But he invites her to come back to his studio, but not to seduce her, but to take down her measurements.
Right, and
because she's very tall and willowy.
Yeah, and control. And while she complains about her being flat-chested, he's quite perfect for his.
Right.
I did want to point out to our cinephiles in the audience that not only as they're enough Hitchcock to get your attention.
Good, I'm glad you mentioned that.
His name is Woodcock.
Yes,
all right?
Woodcock.
And Alma is the name of Alfred Hitchcock's muse wife.
Oh, I did not know
that.
that.
Yeah.
So
Anderson is making a strong connection, and I
definitely.
think some of the shots, for instance, of the ladies going up and down the staircase, is right out of Vertigo type of
definitely.
Hitchcock.
They're beautifully filmed, though. And his sister Cyril, who is his business partner, she is a power to be reckoned with.
Leslie Manville.
Yeah, she's very good. Her icy stares remind everyone that she is in complete control. And talking about Hitchcock, she reminded me of Mrs. Danvers in one of my favorite Hitchcock films, Rebecca.
Yeah,
she really had that feel.
Yeah, there is a resemblance between this, and I think that in the case of Leslie Manville playing Cyril, which I agree with you is just a stone cold performance, she kind of short circuits our expectations as to what her purpose or what we would expect her to do, and what really doesn't happen. She's standing there looking like she's really going to sabotage his love with Alma, but she doesn't.
But she does not do that. She sort of likes her or tolerates her, or feels that Alma can fit into their little circle.
Well, that's what I love about this movie, is that not all the expectations are fulfilled.
Right, exactly. And it's very edgy. And elegant, but you really at times don't know where it's going.
Oh, I know. I mean, I love the fact, the part that I always love with these movies is watching an artist at work. So that first half of that movie,
Yes.
I'm just enthralled.
Yes.
because Daniel Day-Lewis is a designer.
Right.
He lived for months learning how to sew
Yeah, he
and
always does
design.
that.
He always immerses himself.
Yes.
And I watch him on that screen and say, this man couldn't be better.
Yeah, that was fascinating to watch the women, the seamstress working,
Oh.
and the very elegant women come into the fitting rooms and
Yeah.
everything. And then the story turns down a different direction.
It gets melodramatic.
With
to me.
Alma being there,
Yeah.
and like you said earlier, when she's seated at the breakfast table with them, she scrapes the butter onto her toast, and you know that she has ruined the rest of his day.
But you know what's so interesting about this is that while he, as you have described, is so in control, Alma, in her own way, is looking for control.
Right.
Right? Emotional control.
Right, and you don't get that in the beginning, but then you
No.
start to see that
Yes.
she too is just as
Yes.
strong as he is.
Yeah.
Even though he's hurling these terribly cruel, harsh words at her, any other woman would have left. But there's something to her that she's going to stick it
Yeah,
out,
I
and
know,
you have
I
to
know.
see what's going on.
See, I loved this film for that very reason, because there is intrigue.
Oh yes,
There's a thriller-like aspect to it, which brings in our Hitchcock.
right.
But it continually kept me guessing about what's going.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm watching a consummate actor. Now, Daniel Day-Lewis has said this is the end, right?
Right.
This is the last performance.
He's won 3 Oscars, and he said this is the last film he's going to be in. Well, we'll see.
Well, you bet.
We'll see.
We'll see. How can anybody that gifted just
He is
turn
brilliant.
away?
He is
Yes.
brilliant. But to go back to just a little bit of the story, the love that you feel might be developing between Alma and Woodcock, you can't even imagine that he could actually love anyone except for himself.
Good
but
point. Good point.
she, it's this. The love is fierce and toxic. It also involves poisonous mushrooms, but I won't go into that too much.
But don't you think, Linny, that really she, as in his sister, and the other women are substituting for his obsession with his mother?
Oh yes, yes. I was going to ask you.
Sure,
about that.
yeah. I mean, there, and again, that's back to psycho business.
Right.
But basically, and I think you're right. I'm not sure he's capable of loving anything but his craft
And himself.
and himself. But I think he needs an Alma. He needs to marry an Alma.
Right.
He can't marry his sister, but he needs an Alma who turns out to be strong.
Oh, she
Yeah,
is very
yeah.
strong.
So and remember he sews into the linings of his
the
of
wedding
his work.
gowns, little
Yeah.
messages.
Little
and-
messages, names, her name.
Right, yeah.
He carries something of his mother with him
Right.
all the time.
Mhm.
This guy is weird.
He's very, very strange.
Yes. Yeah.
And and as the film goes on, the tension becomes engrossing. But to be honest with you, about 2/3 of the way through, I was starting to feel claustrophobic.
I know.
It was like, this needs to be resolved.
Yes, it was. Now, Linny, what about Daniel Day-Lewis versus Gary Oldman?
Oh,
We're
Gary-
talking about
Yes.
both of them will be nominated
Oh,
for Oscars.
definitely. And Gary Oldman has already been mentioned
I
several times.
I
for
would say
playing Winston Churchill,
Yeah.
he is a good Oscar contender. And I thought it was a given until I saw this film. But this film has been very much under the radar. I think there hasn't been that much about it.
Yeah, they've had a real campaign to keep it like that, to let it build.
Okay.
Yes, and I think
So
they
it's
may.
kind of a surprise.
Yeah, I think they may have made a mistake in not promoting it earlier. But so, what are you saying in your choice between Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill and
Oh,
Daniel
dear.
Day-Lewis as Reynolds Woodcock?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I would probably go with Winston Churchill, Gary Oldman.
I would too. I think.
Maybe because he's historically more likable and you respect him. You don't really like Woodcock much at all.
For me, the Gary Oldman's Winston Churchill is so much more flamboyant,
Yes.
and because Churchill was, and so it's a much fuller role. Whereas Daniel Day-Lewis is going under, and you would say, well, isn't subtlety better? Maybe, but when you're judging a performance, a lot of the dynamism of that comes into play.
Right.
And Gary Oldman's is super dynamic.
And there's many sides of Winston Churchill.
Yes, and there are. Linda Baas McClelland The film is Phantom Thread.
Okay.
It stars Daniel Day-Lewis, and it is written and directed by the acclaimed Paul Thomas Anderson.
Who also did most of the cinematography, which I
Yes,
found
he did it all.
incredible.
He did not list himself,
Yeah.
but he did it, yes. So, Linny, what grade would you award Phantom Thread?
I'd give it a B, a solid B.
Okay. And I have to give it an A minus, no matter what. If you're going to watch the Oscars, and we are taping this show before the Oscar announcement, actually tomorrow. But we're saying, I think the two of us would put our money down right now that both of them, Oldman and Daniel Day-Lewis, will be nominated.
For sure.
And for sure.
Yes.
And so, Phantom Thread, if you want to be up on the Oscars, you better see it.
Yep. I agree.